Hi, my name's Sarah Hudson. I'm a finance broker and money coach, and I'd like to welcome you to Let's Talk Money. Let's Talk Money is a series of interviews with successful women that I've met along my journey, and where I'd like to share stories about how we feel about money. So money's kind of a taboo subject in our society, and I want to debunk that and demystify it and get serious about sharing our stories about money. So let's get started. Well, I'd like to introduce my new friend, Toni McKern, who I've met just fairly recently through networking groups. And Toni is the owner of Wellness Footwear, which is an innovative and socially conscious team that creates shoes and clogs for hardworking feet for both work and play. She has a bachelor's degree in business management and marketing, is a wife and mother, and lives in the Dandenongs in Victoria, Australia. And I know she loves her fur babies and her pets so much. We were just talking about how in this time of lockdown, how important it is to have pets around us. So welcome, Toni. Great to have you here.
Thanks so much, Sarah, for your invitation. I'm really happy to be here. And as we've talked about before, it's really so important to be open and transparent about money and issues and good stuff and bad stuff.
Absolutely, because we don't know what we don't know, do we? And, you know, if we can share stories about our successes and our failures, even if we can help one person out there, I think it just makes the world of difference.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely.
So tell me, what do you remember most about money growing up? What was the environment that you were raised in?
Money was tight. I came from a family of battlers with a few addiction issues. Mm-hmm. And so money was always very, very tight, but we didn't go without anything we really needed. You know, fashion was saved for birthdays. Sport was a priority, which was fantastic. So we always were really, you know, into our sport and played basketball, football, netball, you know, calisthenics, everything. But fashion and luxuries were something that was definitely saved for birthdays. And the house was very, very modest.
Yeah. And I guess sport and community is something that is so well embraced, isn't it? It creates that great foundation for who you turn out to be as an adult too.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. Teamwork.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So who were your money role models?
Well, I had a few. Initially, I think I was sort of attracted to the glitz and glamour of having lots of money. And that was my best friend at primary school. Her father imported Cadillacs and you know, American sports cars. Oh, and wow. He left to right hand drive them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so they were never without money. They were the family that always had lots of money, and you know the lifestyle. They went to America all the time with Dad on his buying trips and all that sort of stuff. And then later, as I grew up, I worked in, I don't know if anybody remembers the Detonator family. They were big in the fur business in the 80s.
Yep.
And Fabian Detonator was one of the children, and she opened up a big clothing brand called Settler & Co. And I worked with her in the warehouse for a couple of years and house sat her house, and she inspired me a lot, you know, to bring out your creativity, have a go, take risks, that sort of thing. And then later again, that was in my early 20s, and then later in life again, I was mixing with a friend, a mother of a school friend, and they were into properties, buying and selling. And they convinced us to buy our first property, much to my mother's absolute horror. She said, "You are financially ruined, girl. What are you doing? You know, how can you put the equity in the house that you've sweated and blood and tears for all these years? Put all that equity into another house that you know might be a flop." And so, you know, I was going to be the financial ruin of the family, but here we go, 15 years later, and I've got, you know, half a dozen under my belt.
Wow, you've had such an interesting, eclectic mix of jobs, Toni.
Yes, going by my LinkedIn profile.
Well, yeah, and just the ones that you described about. So Was the Detonator job your first job, or did you have little part-time jobs before that?
Oh gosh, that was just a fill-in job. When I came back, I escaped marriage by fleeing to Europe, and I came back 3 years later. I really only went for 6 weeks, but I came back 3 years later and really needed just a job to slide into. And a girlfriend said, well, you can come work in the warehouse at Datner's if you want. And that was great. But no, my first job was as an 11-year-old in the local milk bar. And I think I ate more lollies than I sold. But, hey, there's got to be perks of every job, doesn't there?
Yeah, yeah.
My next job was in the deli at Coles. They gave me the sack when the ruling came in about having to be 15 because I was actually only 14. And then I worked at Woolworths, and that lasted a couple of years. But I left school when I was 16, I think. But from the minute I left school, I worked. Well, I always worked part-time since I was 11, but I also went to night school studying, and that was how I managed to get quite a few qualifications under my belt. It was I just didn't fit the mold of high school, science, English, maths, geography. I just didn't fit that mold. I needed to do my own thing. So, yeah, I quit school and started studying computer technology at night time. Mm-hmm. While I worked at Woolworths, and then at Save the Children Fund, which is a charity organisation based in the city.
What an amazing work ethic that you've had, though, to be working from the time you were 11. It really, really set you up. And is that something that was instilled with you by your parents, that work ethic, or was it because of that envy that you had of your friends and wanting to have some money?
The work ethic. Absolutely, the work ethic. As I said, my family were battlers. They just didn't know how to handle their money. Yeah. And I guess I didn't really too. I can quite honestly say that until I was probably 27, I didn't have a cent to my name. I spent everything I earned, absolutely everything. Mind you, I saved to go away to Europe.
Yeah.
I supported myself for 3 years traveling around Europe, but I didn't stay still for long. So, I got jobs here and there doing all sorts of stuff. But it wasn't until I actually got back that I thought, okay, so I'm 27 now. I need to knuckle down. And I still didn't miss out on my life. I still had a life. Yeah, I always think it's very important to have a life. Yeah. But, do what you need to do to set yourself up for a future as well.
Yeah, for sure. And so why did you decide to go into business for yourself?
It was an opportunity more than anything, Sarah. I just wanted the flexibility, a little bit more flexibility. I had I've got 2 children. I always only worked part-time. I was very lucky to only work 3 days a week from having children. But even still, I thought, well, the financial burden has kind of gone a little bit. The kids are a little bit older, and I really want the flexibility, and I wanted to have the opportunity of giving it a go. I really wanted to see what I was made of, what I was capable of. And I just saw these opportunities to firstly buy a business that was importing and then to manufacture myself under my own label, because I loved what I was doing so much. And I love shoes. What woman doesn't?
Absolutely.
And all my samples arrive in my size. Isn't that amazing?
Oh, what a coincidence.
I know, right?
And I do see from your Instagram posts and other social media posts that you've just brought into fantastic new colours, and yes. You announced the winners of the new names for those. So, I really encourage any of our viewers to check out your products. So that they look absolutely amazing and so comfortable.
Yeah, they're a bit of fun. Yeah, a bit of fun, and super, super supportive. We've got podiatrists on board this time to help us with the design, and we've actually just had some endorsed by the Australian Podiatry Association, which is really lovely.
That's great.
And quite a few of the podiatrists are actually stocking either the shoes or the orthotics that go inside them. So that can't speak highly enough, can it really?
Fantastic. That's awesome. So my last question for you today is, what does financial freedom mean to you?
First and foremost, I think it's a feeling of self-worth, that I'm capable and that I can do it, mm-hmm. and that I'm of value. I am of value, and what I do is of value to other people and to myself. And I guess second to that is a role model for my children. I want them to know that, it's important to save money. It's really important to enjoy your life. But it's always important to have a goal So you can save and you can enjoy your life, but you can always have a goal and, little bit by little bit by little bit, like by little bit. Yeah. And it means you're confident in your life choices. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's, look, the information you've shared is just so interesting and so invaluable to understand what makes ourselves tick, and to find out where we've come from a journey of our journey into finance. So I really appreciate you taking the time to have a chat with me, and I look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you so much, Sarah, and I'm really looking forward to hearing all your other stories. I'll be listening with very keen ears. Thank you.
It'll be a lot of fun. Thank you.